aggression is typically fear-based, based in fear. There are other types of aggression like resource guarding. We might label that aggression. It's a type of aggression. Reactivity, I think aggression can present as reactivity, but all reactivity is not necessarily aggression.
It's excitement.
Yeah, reactivity is just an over-aroused response to a particular situation. So if my dog sees another dog across the way or across the street while we're walking and starts lunging or barking at the end of the leash, and it'll sound really ferocious usually, it's like "Rah, rah, 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 rah," at the other dog, and often owners will interpret that as aggression. Sometimes it's something as simple as leash frustration or barrier frustration. Barrier frustration is something like if you've ever locked your keys in the car and you can see them sitting there on the front seat. That creates frustration. And that frustration often can lead to something that we might label aggressive behavior, like smashing the window. And so that is what we create with our fences and our leashes with our dogs, is that we create a barrier which stops our dogs from exhibiting or practicing the normal behavior that they would to greet another dog across the street. And because the dog has a history of reinforcement with that behavior, it escalates and becomes worse and worse as time goes on. And that's when people call us with the dog that is really, just lunging, feet up off the ground, barking at the other dog across the street, and owners come and say, oh my gosh, this is really embarrassing behavior. I'm embarrassed because other dog owners are looking at me like I have this crazy dog. Please help. And so I think, so sometimes the reactivity is a product of leash frustration or barrier frustration. Sometimes it can be a distance increasing behavior where the dog really does have a little bit of fear and says, I'm not super comfortable with that other dog. I've barked at that other dog.
Right.
And what happens? The other owner and the person keep walking. And so just like with the mailman at the front door, the dog learns, well, that behavior worked. I made that other dog go away. I made that person and the other dog go away. It worked, and that adds to that reinforcement history that the dog has with that type of behavior.
So if a dog is barking like at the back fence because there's some kids coming by, he's doing that not because he wants to get out and bite those kids or bite the strange man. There is some fear or uncomfortableness. So that's a really good point. They're saying, go away from here because I'm anxious about you being here. And then the kids leave. Eventually they're just walking to get some ice cream. So the dog's like, okay, that worked. So
the environment reinforced that behavior.
Yeah. The most dangerous thing about aggression is actually the label of aggression. So if people start using the word that my dog's aggressive or he's being he's a bad dog, just all the negative connotations that come with that.
So I think that there's less of a black and white, if something is either aggression or reactivity, and it is a continuum or a sliding scale. Many of those behaviors are based in the same emotion that's happening in our dogs, and we want to address that first and foremost to help a dog who's experiencing either fear or anxiety. Behaviors that people are likely to label aggression are typically stemming from some negative emotion. Yes, would you agree?
I totally agree. Generally, the way I describe it is there's levels of bites. So if a dog muzzle punches you or nips your arm, that could be just a fear-based reaction to you startling the dog or you grabbing the dog by the collar or a kid going to hug a dog or jumping on a dog while he's sleeping. So that, to me, that's not aggression. That's just a reaction. For me, it's aggression when there's like full dentation on a bite or very deep bite marks.
So if you suspect that your dog is experiencing any of these problems, reactivity or aggression, the first and most important thing you can do is contact a professional. They'll be able to speak with you, go through all of your concerns, and help you implement a training plan that's safe and appropriate for you and your dog.
Definitely not make it worse. A lot of people will watch things on TV by pseudo trainers or people, they're like, hey, it makes sense, it looks good. The often stuff you see on TV can have the exact opposite effect. So I would second what she's saying and say number 2, contact a professional.
And contact a professional.
And contact a professional.